Hey guys, what's going on? So in this one, we're going to be covering the first half SOS boss for P5X Global version 2.1. There is a special effect for this. It's this like blood disgrace thing, but I don't think you have to focus on it too much. I tend to. I mean, if you're using Closer anyway, because Closer spends HP when she's using her skills, just she's proccing this like pretty much all the time. We'll be getting it anyway, so I'm not going to really mention it, but just so you know it's there. We're going to be running a pretty similar team to what we ran on the guild boss. If you've seen any content on that, I imagine people are running pretty much the same team. This seems to be like the standard if you have these units. So Wonder first, Marion second, Cord third, Summer Closer four, and then Wind is our Navi. I think Phoebe's better here if you have like a higher awareness Phoebe. That's what it seems to be if you kind of look on the like the leaderboard. It seems like kind of up at the top everyone's using Phoebe, and then kind of as you scroll down, there's more wins in there. If you don't have any of these units, I would say like at least if you don't have Closer and you can't kind of run this Blessed team, your best bet may just to be try and brute force it with Queen if you have Queen. This guy's strong against Curse, so Joker's kind of out on this one. But yeah, you probably have to brute force it. I'm actually going to be using Queen on the other side of this with Yui in conjunction, so it's a little different. But so if you use her here, you may not be able to follow exactly what I'm doing on the other side. But in the other video, I'll tell you if that's the case, there's other units to use on that side to kind of achieve, like the de facto same kind of strategy I'm going for on the other side. So, but on this side, again, if you don't have Closer, it might be best to just try and brute force this with the Queen team. But yeah, if you don't have Marion, you could probably just fit in any of the other supports and just make sure you're healing Closer as much as possible so she's getting those tropical heart stacks. And then Wind obviously helps in this team a little bit too because her skill 3 heals. So as for what we're going to be running on Wonder, we'll be using the Ex Machina dagger. Personas will be Dominion, Dionysus, and then doesn't matter who you bring on the third, just pick your highest level persona that you won't be using on the other side. But yeah, as for our personas, Dominion, just need cohesion on Dominion. He comes with it, so you should be fine here. Dionysus, as always, will need Rebellion, and he comes with Revolutions. Closer is going to be running Resolve and Virtue. Ford is running Trust and Prosperity. Marion is running Trust and Prosperity. Again, I mentioned it in the Guild Boss video, but you don't need to run Prosperity twice. If you don't want to, I just don't have the materials to farm, so she sticks with Prosperity. Plus, like, the Trust Prosperity bonus is still good, so, like, I don't think it's, like, the worst thing in the world if you leave them both, so. And then Wind is running Resolve and Labor. Another note, again, I think I mentioned this in the last video, but if you don't have an A6 Wind, you may not be able to use as many Wind actions as me. Her A6 hits cool, like gives her cooldown reduction whenever she's on off cooldown. Basically, use skill 1 next time, skill 3, etc. But yeah, I don't think I have too much else. Again, if you don't have all these units, and you are kind of wondering what you should slot in instead, feel free to ask me in the comments which character I think fits best, and I'll try and help you as best I can. So yeah, otherwise, let's hop into it. All right, so I actually did forget something. Baphomet has these traits here, so he summons the 2 Incubus ads, and then when one of the Incubuses is knocked down, all Phantom Thief's damage is increased by 15% for 1 turn. That's part of the reason we're bringing Wind with us, because otherwise Closer is basically, you're never, like on the Dominion version of this team, without Wind, you would basically never get any 1-mores, because Closer just one-shots the ads because their health isn't very high. But yeah, otherwise, let's start it off by switching to Dionysus, and we'll use Rebellion on Closer. And our Marion rotation is going to be a little bit weird, and I'll explain kind of as we get to it, but we'll go ahead and use Healing Grace here on Closer. Chord, we'll go ahead and use Unison Notes on Closer. If you have an A1 or higher chord, you'd probably just go ahead and use Distortion there, because A1 plus, I forget what it is, it must just be A1, but it gives co-star to the highest TAC unit on your team, I think it is, automatically to start the fight, so you wouldn't need to use Unison Notes there, so keep that in mind. If you're a higher awareness, your rotation will be slightly different. You'll be using Catchy Hook on turns 2, 4, and 6, whereas I'll be using it twice on turns 3 and 6. Again, if you're a higher awareness chord, just be mindful of that. And then we'll go ahead with Closer and use her Highlight. And then for the 1-mores, we'll always be targeting Baphomet. I'll kind of explain briefly. Incubus only has 32k HP. So basically, even if Closer did, her 1-more did 50,000 damage, you're not getting 100,000 score because of the 2x multiplier. You're getting 64k or 64.5. Right? So you can only get as many points as they have HP, and this might be the only 1-more in the entire fight that Closer doesn't one-shot these guys. Actually, she may even do it here, but you always want to target Baphomet just because you're not going to lose any of the, like, over damage, because he has infinite HP, so. And then we'll go ahead and use blue sunrise. Actually, I guess on that first turn, you could have used it, but then you're gambling like if you killed him or not. So it's up to you on that first turn. Maybe you could use follow-up on one of these guys, and then the blue sunrise would have just procced another follow-up. So maybe I left a little bit on the table, but that's the only turn where that's probably going to be applicable. And then wind is up now, so we'll go ahead and use skill 1. Again, just rotate the skill 1, skill 3 whenever wind is available. I'll probably be using extra skill 3s. I might get, I think, 1 extra skill 3 in this, but... And then Wonder will go ahead and use Revolution on closer. Marion will now go ahead and use Compassion Cure on closer. And then Cord, we're actually going to hold off on Catchy Hook because I want to wait the one more turn just to get the extra buff from Dominion, because we're only using Catchy Hook twice. Regardless, that's like the max I can do with my A0 Cord. So might as well use those two instances of being able to use Catchy Hook on the turns where I do the most damage. So we'll go ahead and just use Distortion. Plus you can give Shock, which it's like a 10% crit percent up like on that enemy. So. And then closer, now she'll go ahead and use Surf and Shine because she has Tropical Heart. And then we'll go ahead and use the follow-up on Baphomet. And you'll kind of see here, 46, so you would have lost like 20,000 points if you had attacked one of the Incubuses on this. Alright, now Wind is up again, so we'll go ahead and use Wind's skill 3 now. We'll target closer just to get the healing instance. And then we're actually going to hold off on the highlight, similar to like the guild boss, where the highlights just kind of work out weird because of Cord having like a 4-turn interval after she highlights versus everyone else having a 6-turn interval. So it just works out a little bit weird. This is like you just kind of have to stall. You're going to stall at some point if you want to use Cord and closer at the end of the fight, which is kind of what we're doing. But anyway, we'll swap to Dominion now, and we'll go ahead and use that on closer. Cohesion, his skill 1. And now we're actually going to go ahead and just use Healing Grace again on closer. We'll actually heal Healing Grace twice. We want to kind of pair up Compassionate Cure with Surf and Shine, because Compassionate Cure on Marion with the 2 stacks will give closer the max HP bump. She has it right now, but it'll fall off next turn, and then she'll use Compassionate Cure, and she'll get it back again. Yeah, but anyway, now we will go ahead and use Catchy Hook. And we'll target Baphomet with the 1 more. And then we'll go ahead and use Surf and Shine again. So now with Wind, I'm going to go ahead and use skill 3, but I don't think you would have skill 3 back up again if you were not A6. So you would go ahead and use skill 1 here. Actually, you wouldn't have this. So just skip this instance, and then you'll be back on our rotation for next turn, because I'll be using skill 1 next turn, which is when you'd normally have Wind back up again. But if you're A6, go ahead and just target closer with this. And then we'll go ahead and we'll use Wonder's Highlight now. You can wait 1 turn there, but you either have to use it on this turn or the next turn. Otherwise, you won't have enough turns to use Cord and closer at the end of the fight. But now we'll swap back to Dionysus and use Rebellion. Then we'll go ahead and we'll use Healing Grace 1 more time. This is the only time where we're kind of like wasting a turn of having the 2 Diagnosis stacks. But if we use it next turn, closer will get the 2 turns of the max HP up because it fell off last turn, so now she's below that 16k threshold that we want for her like max attack up thing. So we kind of have to sacrifice a turn somewhere, and this is just the way I found to like take away the least from us, And then we'll go ahead and use Unison Notes here on closer, reapply that. And closer we'll use Blue Sunrise. And then we'll use the 1 more on Baphomet. and then win back up now. So everyone should have win back up at this point, and we'll go ahead and use skill 1, reapply the defense down. And then Wonder will go ahead and use Revolution now on closer. Now Marion can go ahead and use Compassionate Cure. We'll get the max HP back up over 16. Yep. And then we'll go ahead and use Distortion. We didn't get lucky with the shock that time. And now we'll go ahead and use Chords Highlight. And we'll use Surf and Shine again. One more on Baphomet. We got lucky. Sometimes he can target a closer there and give her freeze, which is, just like pretty unlucky, but that will, lower her attack a little bit. And then with Wind, we'll go ahead and use her skill 3 on closer. At this point, it probably doesn't matter who you use it on. Then we'll switch to Dominion here for the last turn and use Cohesion on closer. Marion will just go ahead and use Healing Grace. Board, Catchy Hook. One more on Baphomet. Now closer can use her own highlight. And then she'll go ahead and use Surf and Shine. And we'll see how we end up here. I forget what my max is. Like 32 something is my best score. Okay, I think I was like pretty close to that, if not like almost exactly. So that's what I came up with for this one. I'm sure there's something better. I'm sure someone else will come up with something a lot more efficient, but this is what I came up with here. If you have a higher awareness chord, you'll definitely get a higher score than this because you'll get the extra catchy hook. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. I've been working on the SOS bosses today, so working on the second half as well. So I know like the point requirement's a little bit tougher. Kind of this patch, it's like you need to be like top 1,000 or something to make it to rank 8. So there's probably going to be a lot of people who are going to be running these quite a bit over the length of the patch to hopefully try and move up a rank. But yeah, hopefully you guys were able to get something out of this. Hopefully this helped you. Even if you don't have all these units, it helps you kind of formulate some kind of rotation in your head that you can kind of start a baseline off of. Like I said, I'm working on the Yui team right now. I'm a little concerned about the Yui side because I think without Yui, you might be in a little bit of trouble for this one because you can't borrow units in SOS, obviously. But spoiler alert, Queen ousted Yui in the guild boss, but they will be working together. Everyone should be happy to know they will be sneak peek. They'll be working together on this team. They've made up nicely. But yeah, hopefully I'll have that video out in the next 2 days, something like that. After this, whenever you see this, I don't know whenever I'll edit this. If you have any questions, obviously just leave them down in the comments. I'll try and answer as best I can, on if you don't have some of these units, who do you use, etc. But yeah, otherwise, as always, I appreciate you guys watching, and I will catch you on the next one, and have a good one.